Hello Junior 5. Today we will talk about concept 2. At the first, we see that we need energy for life. All living organisms need energy to survive. We need energy, cat need energy, all animals need energy, plant need energy, bacteria, fungi need energy. Any living organism need energy to survive. And energy can pass between living organisms when they eat each other. Energy can passes between living organisms when they eat each others. Like plant can take energy directly from the sun, and when the mouse eat plant, mouse gets the energy of plant, and when hawk eats the mouse, hawk gets the energy of the mouse, and when hawk die, the decomposers get energy from the dead body of hawk. So we can classify living organisms into three types. First, producer. Producer can make their own food. Producer can make their own food. Consumers. Consumers eat another animal or get energy from another living organism. Decomposers feed on dead bodies. Producers make its own food. Consumers eat another animal. Decomposers feed on dead bodies. Producers. They are organisms that can make their own food by photosynthesis process like plant. Don't feed on another organism. Don't need any other organism. Don't depend on any other organism. Don't depend on plant or animals. So producers, that organism depend on itself and can make their own food by photosynthesis. They use the energy of the sun to produce their own food by photosynthesis process. Like plant, take energy of the sun to combine carbon dioxide and water to produce oxygen and sugar glucose. Producers like grasses, trees, fruits, and so on. Number 2, consumers. They are organisms that eat other living organisms to get their energy. They can't make their own food, so it should eat other organisms to get energy. So consumers, they are living organisms that eat another organism. Examples of consumers are like rabbit, fish, squirrel, crab, gorilla, and so on. Types of consumer. Consumer are three types. They eat producer directly, called primary consumer. So the animal that eat plant or eat producer called primary consumer. The animals that eat primary consumer called secondary consumer, and the animals that eat secondary consumer called tertiary consumer. So we have three types of consumers: primary consumer, secondary consumer, tertiary consumer. Primary eat producer, secondary eat primary, tertiary eat secondary. At first, the primary consumer, they are animals that eat plant or eat producers. Most of them are insects. Many insects are primary consumer. So, primary consumer, any animal that eat plant, like deer, like many of insects. Secondary consumer, they are animals that eat primary consumer, like bird eat insect. So give reason. Bird are secondary consumer because they eat insects, and other organisms eat plant because they eat insects that eat plant, or because it eat primary consumer. Number 3, tertiary consumer. There are animals that eat secondary consumer. Tertiary consumer most of the time are large animals, meat-eating animals like lions, crocodiles, alligator, tigers, and so on. So animals classify into prey or predator. Prey, that animals weak, hunted, eaten by another animal like deer in this picture. Predator, animals that hunts and eat another animal. So when animal he hunted by another, called prey. When animal hunts, eats another like lion, called predator. So in this picture, deer is a prey, lion is a predator. Number 3, decomposers. Decomposers are organisms that carry out the process of decomposition by breaking down or decaying organisms. Decomposers deal with dead bodies like worms, mushroom, insects, bacteria. Worms, mushroom, insects, and bacteria. Like worms and millipedes that eat dead matter and produce wastes, and these wastes rich in nutrients, and wastes go to the soil and increase soil fertility for the plant growth, and soil become more good for plant. So worms and millipedes considered decomposers. Energy flow. احنا اتفقنا ان الانرجي بتمشي او بيحصل لها follow from living organism to another. ازاي؟ by eating. ف in ecosystem energy can follow from living organism to another. Model that explains this follow called food chain. So food chain, it's a model that show how energy passes from one organism to another in ecosystem like this model. Producer get energy directly from the sun, and its energy passes to primary consumer, that its energy passes to secondary, passes to tertiary consumer by eating. So energy can follow from living organism to another in food chain. For examples, mouse eating plant producer, mouse primary consumer, and hawk secondary consumer. The energy of plant that taken from the sun directly go to the mouse and then directly go to the hawk. So all living organisms interact can make food web. If we have a little number of living organisms, this called food chain. If we have a lot of living organisms or a many source of food for one organism, or many predator for prey, many preys for predator, it make food web. Like this food web, grasses eaten by grasshopper, or and frog that eaten by snakes, that eaten by hawk, that will be die and fall and eaten by decomposer, and decomposer return back its nutrients to the ecosystem. But what's meant by food web? Food web, it's a model that shows several interconnected food chain among living organisms. So food web, many food chain. Food chain have a little number of living organisms. Food web have many number of food living organisms. So food web have several interconnected food chain. So the difference between food chain and food chain shows a relation of food and energy passes from organism to another. But food web show many different organisms